Guten Abend, meine Damen, meine Herren. We're going to take a look at my Kraftwerk Katalog. Kraftwerk are arguably the pioneers of electronic music. When they started off in the early 70s and became very, very influential by the end of that decade. And I've always enjoyed their music. You know, you can kind of keep listening to it. It's kind of minimalistic stuff, I guess, but it's very, very interesting. And I've been listening to them for a long time, maybe, I don't know, the last 40 years, I guess. I started buying the albums back in the 90s. But yeah, fascinating band, and you know, a massive influence on British pop music in the late 70s, early 80s. You can hear it in almost everything. Ultravox, Yazoo, Depeche Mode, OMD, Human League. Everybody was influenced. Anybody with a synthesizer was influenced by Kraftwerk. There was other guys in the 70s doing stuff like Jean-Michel Jarre. I mean, he did it all himself. But when Kraftwerk started out, they were a two-piece. It was Ralph Hutter and Florence Schneider, who was often regarded as the genius behind the whole thing. Then they were joined by Karl Bartos and Wolfgang Flür. There's a book by Fleur titled I Was a Robot, and it's definitely worth reading. So there is a few albums before Autoban, which was released in 1974. I don't have those. I'm not sure if they ever came to CD, probably bootlegs. Okay, so Autoban, it's an enjoyable album. I like the cover, I like the artwork. The whole catalogue was actually remastered in 2009, and they remixed them as far as I know. I don't have any of those albums. I never bought them. I never kind of bought them. They're on mute. But somebody said that they actually remixed them and they left out things and stuff. I'm not sure. Autoban's enjoyable. It's got one very long track. And it's a journey down the Autobahn, I guess, and all the car noises and everything are made using you know, synthesizers and stuff like that. Then you got some moody pieces, Comet and Melody 1 and 2, Mitternacht, they're quite moody. And then you've got Morgen Spaziergang. That sounds like something inside the Japanese garden. But this is pretty influential, and a lot of people love this album. They cite it as their favorite. It's quite relaxing as well. This was used for some of the covers. The newer ones used that. This is one of the EMI editions from the mid-90s. Next up is a really cool Kraftwerk album, and this is called Radioactivity. I really like this. It's quite surprising, like, you know, there's some really good stuff on it, even though it does probably take a little bit of listening. Some of it's a little bit, you know, some of the things on it are a little bit strange when you first hear them, but I will say that it's a kind of a concept album. It's radioactivity, means the activity of radio and radio waves and music and all that stuff. But it's also going into nuclear power and stuff like that, because you've got Geiger counter, radioactivity, and then they mention Madame Curie and all that kind of stuff. So there's kind of a double meaning to it. Radio, land, airwaves, intermission, news, the voice of energy. It's cool. Like, it's a really kind of cool album. Like, you know, it's trippy. Antenna, that's fantastic. Reminds you of Soft Cell or somebody. It really is, you know, I'm the transmitter, send information. You're the antenna, catch the vibration. It's brilliant. It's like a you know, a relationship between two things or people. Radio stars, uranium, transistor, and then ohm, sweet ohm. I think the Chemical Brothers sampled that. There you go. Again, nothing in here. A few pictures. Yeah, I mean, these were done pretty... I mean, Kraftwerk were always minimal and stuff like that, even with the artwork, but you get very little on these. Again, I would say this is probably a mid-90s. Yeah, and there's German language in some of them as well. Next up from 1977 is Trans-Europe Express. This is a good one. It's a little bit more coherent than Radioactivity, but again, in its own right, it's very different. They name check on some of the tracks. They name check Bowie and Iggy Pop, and this is about a train. You know, in the Hall of Mirrors is about the ego of famous people. Showroom Dummies, Trans-Europe Express, that's very good as well. Metal on Metal, Franz Schubert, Endless. Rhythms on this are nice, you know what I mean? They're really cool. I think it's the whole tone scale or something like that. Yeah. Again, all these albums that were reissued, like I said, and they have all new artwork and everything. So on this, you do actually get some details. Album concept and production by Ralf Hutter and Florence Schneider. Kling Klang Studio, Düsseldorf. Russell Studio, Hamburg. The Record Plant. Typography Incorporated Studios, Düsseldorf. So Ralf Hutter, electronics and voice. Florence Schneider, electronics and voice. Karl Bartos, electronic percussion. Wolfgang Fleur, electronic percussion. So I guess they were the drummers. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good album. It's an essential Kraftwerk album. You know, you have to have it really. Next up is probably, for me, it's their best album because everything on it sounds great and it's got a great sound quality as well. The production is good and everything has a flow to it. There's 6 tracks and they all work absolutely perfectly well together. Robots, brilliant. Space Lab, that's one of my favorites. Metropolis, The Model, that was a hit single, released a few times. Neon Lights, and then The Man Machine. Yeah, very, very good. Produced in West Germany. No, this is one of my favorites. Yeah, great album. You know, I think it's their best. It's their strongest. But some people may disagree because 3 years later, in 1981, you have Computer World, and this is kind of to do with you know, technology and the home computer and the internet. So this is ahead of its time, I guess. For me, some of the songs have kind of similar rhythms and stuff like that, and sometimes they flow into each other. So I think that Man Machine is stronger in the fact that it has 6 individual tracks. But this is good. Computer World, Pocket Calculator, that's quite funny. Numbers, that's almost like something you breakdance to. I mean, these were a big influence on the hip-hop world back in the early 80s. Grandmaster Flash, I think, sampled Trans-Europe Express. And you got Computer World 2, Computer Love, Home Computer. It's more fun to compute. Yeah, it's really good stuff. You know, I think the 2 of these albums are probably their strongest. They sound pretty commercial too, but I don't know if that's if that was deliberate, but and stuff like they had evolved as a band, as a production. Yeah. So yeah, Computer World. And then they did release a single in '83, Tour de France, and then they were working on an album, I think, called Techno Pop, but that never happened. And then in 1986, we get Electric Cafe. Yeah, this one, I've often read that, you know, reviewers would say that they were treading water, and now some people look back at it and they say it's probably one of the best things they've done. Yeah, I remember Boing Boom Chuck and Techno Pop and Music Non-Stop. Yeah, it's not that long either, you know, it's a short enough album. Yeah, Clink Clank Product, 1986. This is still the original members here. You know, not the strongest, but you know, mid-80s. I think like that everybody was sounding, there was some people sounding better than Kraftwerk at that stage, you know. Next up this is kind of like a greatest hits, but it's a bit disappointing because it's a mix and it's kind of got a house thing going through it. It's got, you know, a selection and they're all remixed. The Robots, Computer Love, Pocket Calculator, then Taku, I think that was a B-side or something. Autoban, Radioactivity. Again here they say Harrisburg, Chernobyl. No, it's definitely about the environment. Trans-Europe Express, Abzug, Metal on Metal, Home Computer, Music Non-Stop. Yeah, this one, you know, it's been repackaged and released as well. It's not bad, you know. I mean, it's definitely not one you're going to be listening all the time. Here we notice that we have Ralf Hutter, Florence Schneider, Fritz Hilpert. There seems to be 3 at this stage. Karl Bartos and Wolfgang Fleur are now finished with the band. Yeah. So, yeah, nothing happened for a long time. That was 1991, and then 12 years later, you had eventually the Tour de France soundtracks. So this was a surprise for people. I bought the vinyl when it came out. It's not bad. Yeah. And I think when they reissued it, they remixed it again, you know, so they mustn't have been very happy with it. But it's nice that they released an album, but, you know, I guess the original Tour de France is tacked onto the end of it. And it's all about the sport, like, you know what I mean? Electrocardiogram, La Forme, Tour de France, Vitamin. You know, and as well as that, these bicycles, like, were definitely from the 80s because, you know, they've got the old frame geometry and stuff. And it's not bad, you know. But it's one that kind of, for me, it kind of goes into kind of backroom music, yeah. Yeah. But, yeah. That's it, Tour de France. Next, we have Minimum Maximum, and this is a live outing. Released in 2005. There's 2 discs here, and it just tells you all the city. This also was released on quadruple vinyl, which I have as a box set. There's a laptop version as well that's like a computer. 2 discs, and really what you're getting here is just images, because there was a DVD as well. I just wonder how much they did live, you know. I don't know, it's hard to know. But it's interesting, yeah. It's quite good. You know, they've released other live stuff since. I think the whole catalogue. And these are box sets as well, like that I don't have. But sometime I might pick them up. I just like their stuff. But yeah. So that's it there. And finally, what I have is 3D. This is kind of a sampler to the box set, which was, I think, called 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or something like that. And I just got this last week because I've never had it. And I actually really enjoyed it. You know, Autoban sounds fantastic. They've been re-recorded, I think, for most of the part. Museum of Modern Art, New York. Different places like Kunstamuseum, Düsseldorf, Tate Modern London, Opera House Sydney, Tokyo, Los Angeles, Berlin, Amsterdam, Paris, Copenhagen, Bilbao. So now we have Ralph Hutter, Henning Schmitz, Fritz Hilpert, and Falk Griffenhagen. Yeah, I liked it. I enjoyed it. Like, Autobahn sounds fantastic. Yeah, it's a good album. It's definitely worth having. You know, it just beefs up the whole thing. You know, sounds fantastic. But like I said, there was the whole catalog was done like this. And it'd be nice to hear. But again, it's not. It's going to be different, like, than the original albums, because, like, you know, they're so old now. Yeah, and there's also a box set of the catalogue, but they don't have the covers. They've just got, you know, different colors and stuff like that of the remasters. But yeah, I might buy the remasters and just see how they sound compared to these. But that's it, yeah. So that's Kraftwerk. That's my collection, my catalogue. Thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe and take care.